The following contains extremely explicit content and is for mature audiences only. All characters and personalities are used for parody purposes.
Cat talk!
Cat talk!
Oh my god.
That seems like it's something like already, doesn't it?
I know, right? Okay, Dan Condo, everybody.
Alright.
Okay.
What's that either, actually?
So Kelsey and I both worked on it, edited it, and I can't do all the voices, but I will do all the voices that I can. Shut your faces! Three boys hustled down the sidewalk as the sun shone happily down upon them. The largest was dragging a large wheeled cart draped in cloth, while a timid boy in a black hat strode beside him. The smallest boy walked confidently in front, wearing a devious grin on his face. When they reached the center of the cul-de-sac, the timid boy spoke up. "I don't know, Eddie," he whined. "This scam seems lackluster at best, and I'm doubtful that anyone will be eager to purchase such a peculiar array of items." "Can it, Double D?" Eddie shouted. "This scam is foolproof." Eddie ripped the sheet off the table, then proudly scanned his newfound merchandise. He had risked a great deal by sneaking into his older brother's vacant bedroom to pilfer whatever he could find. Once he had managed to break into his padlocked nightstand, he knew he had stumbled upon his next great scam. The tallest boy, Ed, grabbed a long rubber cylinder off of the table and waved it wildly in front of Double D's face. "Look, Double D! An interplanetary exploratory probe used by a legion of zombie aliens during a reconnaissance mission to our planet to test our worthiness as a species to host their intergalactic birthday party." Wow. "Ed, please remove that from my face. It smells strongly of fish and strawberries." While the trio had no idea what these strange objects actually were, Eddie, a true salesman through and through, knew that he could sell anything to the suckers of the cul-de-sac for a haul of quarters. "Step right up and be amazed by the many treasures we have for sale. 25 cents a pop," he shrieked. It wasn't long before a bright-faced boy carrying a plank of wood approached the stand. "Hiya, Eddie," said the boy. "What you got there?" "Ah, Johnny, I have just the thing for you." Eddie shoved a clear bottle filled with a thick pink gel into Johnny's hand. "Gee, Eddie, what is it?" "Why, it's wood varnish, for plank, yes. Just rub some of that on him and he'll look like $1,000,000. Johnny squelched a thick glob of the gel onto Plank's splintered surface and began to vigorously rub and spread it all over. "How's that feel, buddy?" Plank stared back, unfazed, unknown, unfeeling. "Plank says he feels tingly all over. And he smells like strawberries." Yes, that'll be 25 cents. Drawn by the commotion, the other children began to approach the stand. Eddie managed to sell a small metal ring to Kevin, who thought it was a bracelet he could wear to impress his beloved Naz. The farm boy Rolf walked away with a small bottle filled with blue tablets sold to him as old-world sweets that would remind him of his days in the old country. Ed's little sister Sarah and her persnickety friend Jimmy walked away with a large cylindrical device with a rubber mouth at one end. Eddie had told Sarah to get lost, but she snagged the object while Eddie had his back turned. Bitch. So with his tongue trailing behind him, Eddie ran off towards the candy store with his two pals in tow, unaware of the horrors they wrought upon the innocents of the cul-de-sac. Sarah and Jimmy thoughtfully examined their new toy, deducing that since it had lips on it, it must be for practicing kissing. Dashing up to Sarah's bedroom, they wasted no time in putting their new toy to use. Sarah tentatively placed her lips on the firm rubber ones as a strange flavor hit her tongue. Filled with a new vigorous curiosity, she slowly slipped her tongue in between the lips and swirled it around in squishy interior and let out a soft moan. The flavor was fishy, musty, yet fruity, and she decided that she enjoyed it. Almost too much. Jimmy impatiently snagged the device from Sarah and pressed his own lips to it in childlike excitement. The same musty flavor met his tongue, but it seemed somehow familiar to him. He inhaled the scent deeply, which caused his hormones to go into a newly awakened overdrive, and his second testicle to finally descend. "Hey, Jimmy, I wasn't finished with that," Sarah shrieked. She went to grab the device back from Jimmy, but missed and grabbed his crotch instead. This made Jimmy feel an uncanny tickle in his pickle. He frantically whipped out his bald little pecker and desperately rammed it into the nearest hole he could find, Sarah's big mouth. Meanwhile, Rolf had returned to his farm and looked at his handful of small blue tablets, thinking very fondly of the old country. Surely these newfangled candies would bring his homesick mind back to the land of his forefathers. Rolf took the whole handful of tablets in one gulp and closed his eyes. He felt nothing. Rolf opened his eyes and nervously looked about his yard. Then it happened. A sudden warm and powerful sensation erupted forth from between his legs as Rolf's immense, uncircumcised cock burst forth through his jeans, sprouting triumphantly through his thick jungle of untamed pubes. Suddenly overcome with a strong primal lust, he looked about wildly until his eyes fell upon Wilfred, his prized hog. "Wilfred!" Rolf commanded. "Rolf requires your assistance!" The poor unknowing hog obeyed, and Rolf seized him by his hams, wink, and, holding the squealing hog aloft, jammed him down onto his throbbing member. The sheer strength of his cock held the terrified pig in the air, as if on a spit, wink, and Rolf forced it in and out of the poor pig's puckered anus. With Wilfred impaled on his cock, Rolf ran about in a frenzy, grabbing every one of his beloved farm animals. "Now you will feel the true power of the son of a shepherd!" he shrieked. As he proceeded to violate every one of his pets in horrible and unspeakable ways. I'm getting a little lightheaded. Yeah. It's going right to my dick right now. Meanwhile, the three Eds were on their way back to their stand, their cheeks swollen with sumptuous jawbreakers, when they noticed three shadowy figures hovering over the cart, giggling at the merchandise. "Greeting, O valued customers." Don't beat me to it, Eddy began. I'm sorry we had Steak and Shake. But his smile fell upon recognizing the trio. Lee, Marie, and May Canker. "Run away!" Ed screamed, but before the boys could turn, the Cankers pounced on them. "Hiya, boyfriends," said the blue-haired Marie. "Looks like you naughty boys found some nice-looking toys," cooed May. "Bet you dum-dums don't even know what these are, do you?" cackled Lee. "Ladies, please," said Double D. "We're just trying to distribute our humble fare to the good children of the cul-de-sac." "Are you serious?" laughed Marie. "These toys aren't meant for stupid little kids. These toys were made for adults to play with." "What do you say, girls?" said Lee, grabbing a set of small clamps on a chain. "Should we show them how it's done?" She ripped Eddy's shirt off as his trembling body and slowly lowered the clamps to his pink exposed nipples. "I'm a minor, stop!" screamed Eddy. As Lee latched the clamps onto his nipples that instantly turned a dark shade of purple. Pain mixed with a unique pleasure shot through Eddy's body as he lay beneath Lee, screaming and thrashing as she cackled over him. Marie and May grabbed the remaining two objects, the large black exploratory probe, and a shiny silver egg attached to a small remote.
All the ladies know what the heck's going on. Some of the guys look confused.
I know what it is.
Marie grabbed Double D and bent him over on his hands and knees. "Have mercy!" Double D screamed as Marie ripped off his pants. Before he knew what was happening, the tip was being firmly pressed against his virgin butthole. "Oh, the inhumanity!" shrieked Double D, as the head of the large rubber cock penetrated his rectum so deep it pierced his colon. The same pain and pleasure erupted into Double D's anus, and he screamed in confused agony. May took the silver egg-shaped device and ripped off Ed's pants, exposing his member. She flipped the switch on the remote, and the bullet began to buzz and vibrate. She then pressed it gently against her writhing man's filthy, unwashed dick, and Ed immediately stopped thrashing. It tickles, chuckled Ed, as a lopsided grin broke across his face. May giggled at her man's pleasure and slipped the bullet deep into his taut butthole. The three Eds had been tormented for years by the Canker sisters, and now, with their sexual hormones suddenly awakened, they turned, pouncing on their harassers. Eddy kicked Lee off of him, and she hit the ground hard. "Hey!" cried Lee, but before she could say another word, Eddy ripped the clamps off of his nipples and attached them to Lee's nose and head, turning her nose up like a pig. He then pinned her to the ground and ripped out. Sorry, oh my goodness. And he ripped out his fully erect, pulsating, stiff as a rock micro penis. Lee gazed at Eddy's tiny little pecker in utter shock, but only caught a glimpse before Eddy rammed it into Lee's nostril, his bald nutsack slapping Lee's lips with every thrust. With a triumphant cry, thick globs of sticky spunk shot into Lee's nose, filling her sinuses and running down her throat. She couldn't help but choke on the sticky gunk filling her throat.
My word.
Oh, and we get to the last page.
And that's where babies come from.
Everything I knew was a lie! Okay. Distracted by the scene, Marie didn't see Double D stand up behind her, the giant black dildo held firmly in his hand. Marie quickly turned around and found a new Double D, an unhinged Double D, with bulging eyes and a maniacal grin. "Double D," she pleaded, "is that you?" "No, not really," cackled Double D, as he slowly approached the frightened girl, brandishing the large dildo before him, slickened by traces of shit in his own blood, from it tearing his butthole wide open.
Kelsey!
Hey, we worked on this together.
That part was all him.
Yeah. Marie made to run for it, but Double D smacked her across the head with the heavy rubber dildo. While Marie was dazed from the impact, Double D ripped her pants off and hastily rammed the dildo into Marie's exposed ass, all the way up to the rubber ball sack, making Marie scream with agony. Double D quickly removed his own pants, and Marie's screams grew in intensity as her eyes took in the sight of Double D's member. It was at least twice the length and girth of a normal one. Marie now knew why everyone called him Double D. Yes. He slowly lowered his gigantic cock towards Marie's pussy and pressed it forcefully against the tight lips. With intense effort, Marie's virgin pussy was spread open, fit to tearing by the giant cock. Blood began to leak from Marie's stretched out twat, and the added lubrication allowed the insane boy to slide his member further and further into the girl. Soon Double D had her completely impaled on his uber dick. Marie couldn't muster the strength to even scream as she felt Double D's cock grow even bigger and throb violently as he thrust in and out. All at once, Double D's hot jizz poured into Marie, filling up her insides. Finally finding her voice once again, Marie's final scream could be heard for miles around.
One more bit.
Ed, who still had the vibrating bullet lodged deep within his rectum, stared quizzically down at his rapidly engorging member. As it continued to swell, the years of caked-on filth born from lack of showering began cracking and flaking off. He gave it an experimental poke and found that his newly liberated cock was capable of feeling sensations in ways that simply were not possible under his usual coat of thick grime. He became overwhelmed with curiosity. What else was his emancipated dingling capable of feeling? He looked up and saw the blonde, buck-toothed girl hovering over him, and guided by pure penile instinct, pinned her down and tore her pants off. "Time to butter your toast," Ed blurted out. As he felt the head of his cock press against the slick entrance to May's pussy, who could only look at him in dumbstruck disbelief. Fully penetrating her, he was overcome with a warm sensation and began to thrust and flail wildly on top of the girl, desperate to increase the tingly sensation. It wasn't long before he felt an intense warmth and pressure building up in his loins, begging for release. It continued to build until it became quite uncomfortable, bordering on painful. He removed his cock from May and peered inside his pee-pee hole. He surely thought his wiener would explode with the pressure when suddenly a large came from his dick. I don't know if anyone heard that, but it was a popping sound for all you listeners. A large pops came from his dick, followed by a thick wad of discharge that had been lodged in him for Lord knows how long. There was a brief moment when he and May both stared at his dick in dumbfounded silence, before Ed's whole body began to quake like a volcano about to erupt. His balls shriveled into raisins as they expelled years of built-up semen covering both him and May with thick globs of stanky spunk. Waves of it emanated from him and soon overflowed into the cul-de-sac, smothering all of its inhabitants and ensuring that the faint smell of rotten fish would linger for years to come, thus ending the Ed's truly most magnificent scam ever.
Cul-de-sac. I was like, oh, that shit.
I was not have one of the creators here to talk about this. I feel like it's unfair that the creator of Edda and Eddy is here to produce this porn. I feel like it's unfair.
Which one of you came up with the spunk that's been in there for way too long?
The whole last bit of Ed was me.
Okay. I
Kelsey.
for next time.
The best part is that really is what would happen in the
Because he's so gross and filthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to read the next one, Kelsey.
Oh, man.
It's only fair.
Yes. Yes.
You each need to write your own.
Yeah, next time we'll separate. We'll do our
Whoever
own
wins
thing.
gets to be in It's All Been Done.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
I don't make the rules.
This is all I have!
I have some great ideas to replace him with Kelsey. Let me just tell you.
All right.
I've
He
heard
goes
she does
to
a
the
great
planet.
hip-hop for them.